Hello everyone, Patrick here for Traffic Fuel, and I'm here with Dan Smith, who is setting the world on fire with our new traffic feature, Hyperlocal Mobile Targeting. How you doing, Dan?
Oh, very good. How you doing today?
Good, good. Dan and I were just enthusiastically talking before we hit the record button, and I said, Dan, just hold on, hold on. This is such good stuff. I want to get this recorded. So, but anyway, he is. When I say he's setting the world on fire, his approach, his passion, and his confidence with what he can do with this new traffic fuel feature is, well, you'll see. It's very compelling. So before we do that, though, I know a lot of you who are listening to this know Dan. You've seen him in the inner circle. You've seen him around various things with Local Genius. But I just want to, Dan, do you mind taking like 1 or 2 minutes to kind of give us a little background on yourself and then how you get into online marketing and how you get into traffic?
Sure. So grew up in San Diego and proud to call San Diego home currently. My intro into internet marketing is pretty strange. I was actually got into it in the mid-90s. I worked for Yamaha. I was a district manager. I was in the music business for a number of years. Used to build high-end recording studios, work with a lot of famous people, and so I started working for Yamaha, and I was one of their key district managers. And then there's this thing called the internet. And they said, hey, people want to sell our products. Will you work with the big retailers? Because you're the kind of the geekiest guy in the building here. And I had a background in computers. And so I said, sure. So I sat with some of the biggest retailers in the mid-90s to learning how e-commerce. And they would, I mean, this was days of hard code, and I loved it. And we got products, and eventually I was I just had to fight with the Japanese on a lot of things to get sold here. This was the early days.
Right.
And it was a struggle. And I said, man, I love this internet marketing. I'm on the road 200 days a year. I just got married. My wife's like, I never see you. I said, well, let's move back to San Diego. I'll start an internet marketing business. My first client was my dad. He was a plastic surgeon at the time. We got him ranked in Google, built a website. I said, this is fun. He was the #1 guy in Google for a long time. and this was the days of the keyword stuffing and, Wild West days.
Yeah.
And so that's how I started my business in 2000 and never looked back.
Beautiful.
So then we're here today with traffic. And of course, I think today it's so much harder to do, to get a business, visibility, yet it's so much easier with the tools we have.
What a good lead in by Dan. Okay, so you could tell just listening to Dan, he's such an easy guy to listen to. His passion just comes right through, and so some exciting things we're going to talk about. So let's talk about the Hyperlocal feature that's available in the Traffic Fuel platform. And so, we're probably going to throw out a bunch of terms during this conversation, whether it be hyperlocal mobile targeting or hyper targeting. What we mean is, I'll just set the stage real quick, and then I'll get Dan to talk about his big picture strategy with this. The idea, guys, is that you are able to pinpoint addresses either by literally drawing them on a map, on a Google map, or importing specific addresses and then showing ads to people on their mobile devices while they are at that physical location. So that kind of sets the stage. So with that said, Dan, tell me about your approach to using Hyperlocal, some strategies you've started to develop around it, and how you're approaching clients with it.
Well, yeah, I got to say it was a brilliant addition to to Traffic Fuel, because I love Traffic Fuel as it was, but it was still, when you could only just dial into the zip code, it was just like, okay, that's great, But when you guys introduced Hyperlocal, I went, wait a second, this can be a game changer here, because especially with cold traffic, it was like, I'm wasting clicks in areas I don't want my ads to be seen. And so I started running, and my first couple of ads were, I worked with the tree trimmer, and he's like, look, how do I target, zip code? We've been targeting zip codes. I say, hey, let's try something. Let's target some neighborhoods. So we targeted a couple of key neighborhoods he gave me, and lo and behold, he got a call. And we put a $300 discount ad up there. And he said, where did we run those ads? I said, we ran them in neighborhood A, B, and C. And he's like, I got a $2,000 job. And I went, whoa, this works. I said, okay. And then I had a call from a client who was in the auto industry, and he says, listen, he was known for Volvos. Like, if you search this guy, even like other mechanics bring him their Volvos. And it's like he is the master of Volvo whisperer in San Diego County. And so he said to me, he's like, look, I want more Beamer business. How do we get that? I was like, well, we could do PPC and stuff. I went, wait a second. We got this new thing. How would you like to do this? Let's try a little test. He's literally 500 feet around the corner from a BMW shop. So I hyper-targeted the service center. Now, my very first ads ran on a Thursday, Friday. I said, well, I know people are going to be sitting there from 9 a.m. to probably 4 p.m. And so let's just make these ads. I said, let's just be bold. I said, let's say you're the dealer service right around the corner. And let's do tired of overpriced dealer servicing. So we made 2 very aggressive ads.
Okay.
We ran the ads. I'd already had a BMW service page on his website that I built, just a brand page, like, okay. I said, so let's try this. So we threw a few bucks in there, did the test run. And I mean, the amount of traffic we got on that first test run and the amount versus the amount of ads shown, I think we showed only 300 ads, but we got like 8 clicks, 9 clicks. I mean, it was astronomical for just a short run. I went, oh my gosh, this is amazing. And all those clicks went to the BMW page.
Right.
And that's when the light bulb went off. I went, David or whoever came up with this concept has just given us the most brilliant cold marketing tool out there. And I know geofencing. I am an app developer. I am also a developer. I'm a developer head, a code head. And this traffic fuel gives me a place to kind of be geeky and code and analytical.
Right.
And it's just phenomenal what that first test unveiled to me. And so then I went back next week and says, we need to start doing this regularly.
Okay. Light bulb went off. You started to apply. Hey, let's back up just for a second, Dan, because I think I heard you tell me one time when we were having a previous conversation, one of the ways for your I think it was a tree trimming company, you mentioned that you wanted to physically see subdivisions or neighborhoods where there were more trees. Is that how you did targeting around that?
Yes. So when I went to knowing that, I looked at the Hyperlocal, I said, well, this is the satellite, or it's not a satellite map, it's just a color map. So I went to Google Earth. I says, okay, let me zoom in on Google Earth. And after talking to him, this was the other thing. We targeted one of the neighborhoods he wanted to target. Well, if I just were to say a city, or a zip code, I'd be capturing a lot of places that didn't have. He really wanted this part where the hill was, where the view was, where the people were being obstructed by the view and complain about the trees. And so that's the neighborhood I drew there. So I zoomed in and said, oh yeah, here's the big tall trees in this neighborhood. Okay. And then I went out and I zoomed in on a couple others and I found, oh yeah, in this neighborhood, I dialed in where I saw big eucalyptus groves around covering homes. And
wow.
And so that's what I did. We looked for old growth neighborhoods and circled around that.
So there's 2 things we're talking about. There's really 2 distinct things I want to get out of this conversation, Dan. One is there's the feature capability, there's the tech behind it, there's the amazing targeting capabilities, which are, on GPS and it goes to your mobile phone and it's based on the address you are. But then there's the creativity and the application of how can I use this in the real world. And look at what Dan was doing. He's saying this automobile repair shop is a competitor to this BMW dealership. Let's just talk directly to that and not beat around the bush. And then speaking of bushes, when it comes to tree trimming, Dan literally went and found trees on a map and said, and looked at the topography of a Google map and applied it. I mean, it's just brilliant stuff, Dan. This is awesome stuff.
And take that also, I also went to homes that bordered canyons because we have to worry about, you know, neighborhoods that have canyons and canyon fires. So people literally have a mandate to cut 100 feet back from their homes in the canyons. Well, they may have no trees. So we literally could target the addresses or neighborhoods. So I could draw a map and literally highlight a bunch of homes on a canyon without going to the homes across the street.
What did you put on those ads? Out of curiosity, what have you put on those ads as far as how do you get their attention?
Oh, these for the we did a big $300 off brush clearing, $300 off tree trimming.
Yes, good stuff. So you're using powerful offers in combination with unbelievable targeting. Unbelievable. And guys, what's beautiful about this is it's cold traffic. I don't think I've ever seen an application on any traffic platform where you can hone in like this. So let's keep going with it. So we've talked about it, but I want to make sure everyone understands there's really two ways to interact with this hyper-local mobile traffic. So, you know, you're setting up your traffic campaign. We're not going to open a wizard and show everybody that right now. Most people listening are familiar with that. But when you decide that the way I want to do my targeting is to use hyper-local mobile traffic, there's two ways to interact. There's an ability to upload a list of physical addresses, not email addresses, physical addresses, which are probably some of the most easy, some of the easiest data to get on any company, right, is that physical address. And then there's also the ability, like Dan was talking about, to literally draw circles on a map. So tell me about which application or which method you used for various campaigns, Dan.
Yeah, so the address one I actually used for myself, testing it.
Okay.
Targeting, I wanted to target some, I just thought, oh, I'll give a free video to a certain group, and I wanted to target. So I took a list because early on, I know we can import a lot now. I think we had where I could only get 10 in at a time.
Yeah. Dan helped us work through the hurdles, yes.
But I got them imported, and what was really funny, though, and it's my fault because I'm doing so much other stuff, marketing, is I actually didn't get a call from a veterinarian. I actually got a call from a dentist who shared a wall with a veterinarian. And
oh, my goodness.
And the dentist says, well, hey, I see your free offer. And I go, well, I didn't have a free dental offer. I said, hey, where are you from? And he says, oh, blah, blah, blah. He says, no, it's your free vet offer. And I go, where are you? And he goes, well, the guy next door is a veterinarian. And
it still worked. It made perfect sense to that dentist that he was seeing a veterinarian offer. Amazing.
And he goes, can I get one for my dental practice? I said, well,
I don't know.
I said, you know what? I said, I think I'll work this. I said, it was a special. I said, I have to probably do some stuff for them. But I said, we talked, now we're doing some local business, and now now he's looking at the retargeting going, that's pretty cool. And so he's a pretty general dentist, but we're looking at getting his practice up. But it was interesting. I mean, because you think of that 20 feet outside, well, if you target a business, well, you're hitting the businesses next door too. So that was a lesson to me, like, whoa.
Interesting.
Maybe I should, and then I thought, well, maybe I should do a little reverse psychology, target dentist offices that would be next to a veterinary office and offer that.
Oh, you're really getting deep into the psychology now, Dan. So I think, if I remember correctly, I think you told me a story about how you circled some addresses on a map, speaking of the other way to do this, for an attorney client.
Yes.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but tell us about that.
So we are running very hyper-targeted traffic for a family lawyer. We actually have a set of ads that run inside the courthouse. Literally targeted, I circled the courthouse specifically. Those ads say, not happy with your outcome, we can help, call us. And so it's got, usually somebody sitting in court or some sadness, picture there, and it directly hits, Then right outside, we targeted the big areas outside in the parking lot. So when the people are pissed off and they go to their car and they sit in their car and they start banging on their steering wheel, we say, are you upset from today's proceedings? Call us, we can help.
Oh my goodness.
And then we targeted all of the attorney firms around the courthouse and kind of say, not happy with your current representation, we can help.
Oh my goodness.
And then we have some general ads that target the diners and the, eateries that are around there, so that we catch, some people that might, be like whatever and go eat and trying to, or drink away there, whatever. So, and it's very telling, that kind of, inside the courthouse, we don't get a whole lot of views, but we're averaging at 5% click-through rate.
Oh my goodness.
So, that's a person sitting in there and they get on the phone and go.
For cold display traffic, the industry average is, listen to this, people. Listen to this, everyone that is tuning into this interview. 0.06%. 0.06% is the industry average. Dan's hitting 5% on the example he just talking about. And if you don't think that's targeted for cold traffic, that's unbelievable. In fact, that's even a good number for retargeting, a very good number. But to do this for cold,
that's good for pay-per-click.
Well, actually, there you go. Even for search traffic, that's good. So, Dan, I'm going to ask Dan to go into, he's agreed to do this, and he may not want to show us everything, and we might blur out some business names, although I think Dan's got everybody pretty locked up. But, and he's going to maybe show us some results he's seen on some of these hyperlocal traffic campaigns, and he might, if we can beg him, he might even show us an ad or two because I love the incredibly emotional, how he's tapping into emotion, all right? Whether it be with the tree trimming company, whether it be someone that is frustrated with a court proceeding or with an attorney meeting. I mean, this is pretty cool stuff. So just to kind of reset this as Dan opens this up, and he's going to share his screen here in a moment. And, we're talking about hyperlocal mobile traffic and the ability to show ads to people on their smartphones, whether it be on a website they're on their smartphone or tablet, whether it be in an app that they open up and they see the ad. And then, that technical ability combined with, hey, I've got a business that serves these types of clients. How can I get in front of these types of clients? Well, maybe I have a customer list or an old customer list. Maybe I can, I know exactly how to target, and I have the addresses of all the car dealerships around that I know aren't good. And so I'm going to tap into the service options for them. So just to kind of reset the stage, that's what we're looking at. So Dan has agreed to show us some of the numbers of his campaigns and the trajectory. I think you're going to be blown away by seeing, we haven't even talked about this yet, but the idea of cold traffic. One of the things with cold traffic is it's usually a very steep investment for local businesses, or for anyone for that matter. And you need to spend hundreds and hundreds and thousands of dollars on a monthly basis. So keep that in mind as we look at some of these numbers as well. I think Dan has just brought up, oh, look, Dan did a nice, prepared a nice little, some samples here for us. So Dan, go ahead, and I'll stop rambling, and you go ahead and talk us through this.
Yeah, so since we are talking cold traffic with Hyperlocal, I have two examples, two clients that I have run cold traffic, and I think this is really eye-opening for me. And now, let me also say, this is not to say that there's not a reason to run cold interest traffic. There's very much reasons to run cold interest traffic. At the same time, when people are trying to reach a certain group of people or a certain, dial in that real dialed in marketing, well, this is where Hyperlocal is the greatest tool out there. And so I wanted, and it was even important for me to look at how did cold traffic, how was it? Because I felt like overall it wasn't too bad compared to what we'd done in the past. And so let's take a look. So I have some cold and retarget traffic here in the auto industry, but really this first one up here where it's, we're looking at, I guess I'll just make it full screen here.
Sure.
From current slide here. Okay, so this one right here, so this first upper left where it's 163,000 impressions. This was cold traffic. We spent over $500, $2.54. This is in the auto industry, going after diesel and truck repair. And, 0.14%, you're a 200% the industry average. Yep. You're like, woohoo, hey, that's, the customer was happy. I felt like, oh, hey, 0.14%. I'm
nice
happy.
Campaign. Mm-hmm.
Now we switched him in August into the hyper target. And of course, I had, about 14 months of traffic up there. So roughly, approximately 10, 12,000, impressions a month, I guess, or, maybe 15. Well, here I only got 10,000 impressions a month, but look at how many clicks. I almost got half the amount of clicks in 1 month that I got in an entire 14 months.
Wow.
And this is targeting Ford dealerships and Cadillac dealerships. Okay. So this was hyper targeting the local Ford dealership and the local Cadillac dealership service centers. And this is actually the one that we also target the competitor. This is the one where he's in a neighborhood where there's about 15 other shops in the same street. So we literally have hyper targeted the entire street up and down for a half a mile. And with hyper targeted ads that he is the go-to shop for Magnolia Avenue. And also we have some counter, one of the competitors pissed him off. So we actually have ads that say, hey, mention Greg and get your first oil change free.
Dan and I were laughing about this earlier. This is very bold when the coupon code is your competitor's first name.
Yeah. So, I'm a pretty aggressive person. So I just tell my clients, let's fight this, get after it. So this is cold traffic, hyper versus cold traffic, zip code based. This was zip code based. Okay. And this is news site, auto interest, targeting, people trying to reach. And then I was blown away when I really sat and compared these numbers. I went, oh my gosh. I'm all instantly providing my client 10 times the value on cold traffic that I had previously.
Wow, and which was already a very substantial, great value compared to search, but you've taken it to yet another level.
Right. So the other two squares are his retarget and his total campaigns. But here's the thing: the interesting thing too is the retargeting this particular client did go up, which we changed some ads and stuff like this. But the overall campaign, when you look at the overall numbers to the very right, is you can see how much in the overall campaign we went from a 0.29% overall lifetime to now a 0.80. Again, we've increased by 4 times almost, or 3 times the traffic.
So which ones are, just to be clear, which one, the one in the bottom right-hand corner, that is your retargeting?
The bottom right-hand is the total. So we have
total. Okay.
Cold left. The middle column would be retargeting for that same period of time.
Yes.
And then the right column is the total. So when you see the, the retargeting and things like this and look, and we changed some retargeting on this client. We did some because we were driving Ford. We drove some things back, and it changed overall. It was very beneficial.
Excellent
stuff. So this was a diesel truck, Cadillac, again, industry here. The next one I'm going to show you is also in the auto industry, but I thought that I'm going to take this one a couple of steps a little deeper, because I also did an August to September dive deep after I started dialing in hyper targeting. I wanted to see.
Okay.
So again, I've been working with this client, cold traffic, almost 200,000 impressions over the time, 400 clicks. Again, almost the same cost per click, $2.50, cost per click as the previous one. Now this one is only BMW targeting. Okay, we only target BMWs on this client here. So when we moved to BMW, strictly cold traffic, you could see that we almost again got a third of the traffic in a short amount of time. Increased our almost 4-fold, almost 5-fold our click-through rate.
Yeah.
And our cost per click. I mean, that's what's so astronomical. We went down to 63 cents. I think we didn't. Let me back up one on the last one. Look at the cost per click on the other one down here in the bottom left, 70 cents. We went from 254 to 70 cents. So again, here we went from 248 to 63 cents.
Unbelievable. So Dan's talking about two things. One is the value he's generating at a lower cost for the client, but there's also a profit margin increase that seems to be happening here as well, right, Dan?
Yeah. I mean, if I can take the same money and drive so much more traffic, now it's almost like, gosh, how do I raise the, well, now I say, hey, if you want to target the next dealer, and here's a way, if you want to target your next hyper segment, okay, it's another $300 because I got to
that's brilliant.
And here's the thing. Our competitors, Hibu, YP, whatever the name of their company is, I think they've been bought and sold again. But anyways, so when you do retargeting with Hibu, it's $500 for your first so like they give you your first whatever interest, okay? So if you want to do another interest, it's another $500.
Wow. Okay.
We say, hey, whatever interest you want, we'll pick. Well, in my thing here, okay, for hyper targeting, you get one brand, one, if you're doing BMW or BMW, well, you want to target Audi? Okay, it's another $300 because now we got to create Audi ads. Right. And really the hyper target money you can see is I mean, this was 2 months. I mean, it's really not that much because let's look at the next screen here. So this is a month to month, okay? So this is month A when I first learned, I think we rolled out hyper targeting in July somewhere. And so this was a first full month of a real, campaign run. This is the column on the left is the hyper target from August up on top. You can see that in August, I got a 0.55.
So these are all hyperlocal in this case?
Yes, all hyperlocal on the left-hand side, cold traffic. These are retarget and total numbers onto the middle and left. But the left column, cold traffic, hyper target. Gotcha. BMW service centers. Okay? In August, I was at a 0.55 click-through rate. I was ecstatic. I thought, man, this is awesome. I got 10,000 impressions and 55 clicks. Now, we got them down to $1 a click. So, again, for cold traffic, I was like, woohoo! We reduced it because, again, when I was looking at cold traffic before, I was at 254.
Yes,
now I'm like, I dropped $1.50. But then after having a whole month to learn this and play around and do other campaigns with other clients, I came back in September and said, okay, let's dial this up a little bit. A little bit different. I mean, you think, well, you're just drawing circles over the dealership, but you got to slide the circle a little bit. You got to kind of play with it a little bit. So I played with it the next month. I was blown away. Now look at the amount of impressions. I dropped the amount of impressions by 60%.
Look at that.
But I increased the clicks by what? 40%? And then I dropped the ad spend 60 or almost, 60% to 37 cents a cost per click and got 75 clicks. I went, oh my gosh. Yeah. Here, I now really made a lot more profit because I'm generated now a lot more clicks to the client and I a lot less ad spend. I'm like, whoa. And now why this is important to look at the retarget, because here is the BMW retarget. Well, this is their retarget, but primarily a lot of this retarget traffic is coming from no, this is BMW retarget. I'm sorry. This is the BMW retarget here, and this was their page retarget from BMW, and that's what we got there. So
this is just exciting stuff, Dan.
So that's dialing in the campaign like month to month, like yes. So that's how really you can really make hyperlocal work, and you can tweak it.
So I love what Dan is showing us with the numbers, and anyone that's into traffic, you've got to be excited at this because Dan is actually generating more clicks and spending less. Customers happier. Dan is making more money, and he's so confident whenever he's actually doubling and tripling down on a hyperlocal because he says your next hyperlocal targeted segment is another 300. Then we can do another one for 300. Then we can do another one for 300. And it sounds like that's primarily driven based on if we need to make a new ad set for the next segment, then it's another segment. Is that safe to say, Dan?
Yeah, that kind of, and then because if we're doing the money from the same account, and you can see
Right.
how, so, but then I realized, well, no, you can dial it up and play around a little more with the next target. You may have to, dealerships, and here's the interesting thing we need to learn, hyper targeting too. I'm learning that there are certain areas of town when people leave a dealership, they leave the car more than they do sit and wait. And I am finding that dealer A over here has fewer customers that wait on their cars than dealer B over here.
Interesting. Okay.
And yeah, and so it is interesting when you think about that. And also when you do hyper targeting, are there eating places around there? So you got to start thinking, if somebody's going to wait for something, where is my audience potentially going to be? Is it at the Starbucks that's across the street?
And you know who knows? You know who knows the answers to these? The dealership. You know who knows where their customers are going? The businesses. And so they're probably, and this is what I want to get into next. And if you have some ads and some more numbers to show us, that's cool too, Dan. But I did want to get into the conversation of how are your clients feeling about this? What is their feedback to you about the idea of their ads showing up in various places? And I'm just curious, not about the ROI, not about the money necessarily, but just what are they saying to you?
Okay. Well, I put an ad up here, one that's running right now to Ford. They love it because they love that this ad right here is running inside a Ford dealership right now. It's right down the street from my house.
Yes.
And basically, he loves that he puts his business inside the dealer and says, hey, you don't need to go to the dealer for your repairs. They'll sell you the truck, but come to us to, after warranty repair.
Wow.
And so,
wow.
And I do want people to catch this. This is like a dealer competitor. We are not advertising for the BMW dealer. We're not advertising for the Ford dealer. We're wanting to take money out of the dealer's mouth, out of their mouths and put it into the mouth of my client.
Right.
And the dealer makes enough money selling the vehicles, and they make enough money in the warranty repair. Now it's time for the rest of the world to make their money on on one of the greatest, assets people have. And so I have no problem going right inside the, and being very competitive and telling my clients, we're hitting them, punching them in the mouth, showing them that you're the place to come to when their warranty's done. And they love it. They love it. My guys, I don't, if somebody says, well, I don't want to do that, they're not for me. Because I do, I just feel like this is kind of, it's a competitive world out there. And they're competing against, so many people. So why not, I'm a competitive guy. I want my clients to win. They win. They're happy with me. Then they're going to spend more money.
I do want to point out, look at how beautiful this ad is, guys. Expert dealer alternative. Now, that doesn't grab you when you're inside a dealership about to spend $800 for your Ford truck to be repaired. Independent prices. That's some great stuff. That's some great stuff, Dan. So I'm really glad you shared those ads.
And why I share something like this is, do you know how easy it is to clone these ads and to have a whole new set of ads? And as a matter of fact, I actually just took this ad, swapped the truck, made a blinking version of it. And because David talked about motion, right. I guess there was something. Oh, yeah. I sat in on a webinar that he was doing just because I like to listen to his language and learn for my webinars. And he was doing one for AdVidi. And he was showing the motion. I go, God, I forget about that. And so we're running now ad motion ads in the dealership. So I'm going to be real excited to see if those change some things.
So we've been spending time here with Dan Smith talking about hyperlocal mobile traffic and the targeting and how you can really hyper-target around and inside your competitor's office to around the right areas where your prospects are. And Dan's just sharing some great insights, both stories and also getting into the nitty-gritty numbers and the images. So let's talk a little bit. You've talked about this already, but can you tell us a little bit about any phone calls or visits that your clients have been getting? Or I think you mentioned that you received a call from a dentist, and because people always wonder about that, and that's totally fair. Now, in training, we always tell people, you don't really want to sell traffic and swear to an ROI and you're going to receive this many leads, because that's a different business. But I know you've talked about this before, Dan. So do you mind sharing some of those stories?
Yeah. So the ad you're seeing right here, there was a previous version of this ad that was in the dealership, and this client called me up a few weeks ago and says, "Hey, it's amazing. I mean, we all know we tell our clients something, and then they listen to us about as much as our kids listen to us. So I learned that. I've told them all the stuff. I share all the reports. He's like, "Where's my ad running?" I said, "It's running here at the dealership." He goes, "Oh, okay." Somebody called me from there and says they saw my ad. And I said, "Well, what did they say?" And they go, "Well, they just got a $20,000 quote for their diesel truck to get repaired." And, or no, it was $15,000. And he's like, blah, blah, blah. And he wants a quote. And I told him, I said, I can beat him by $3,000. So he's bringing his truck down. I was just curious where he saw my ad. I said, "Well, ask him what he saw, but he said he saw my ad in this Ford dealership." He says, "I got to go by." And I met with him again, and I said, "Did you ask him about the ad?" And he goes, "Oh, he said he saw a picture ad with my name on it and phone number." And I go, then I screenshot ads as I see him on the web. I go, do you think it looked like one of these? He goes, "Probably."
Wow.
And yet he called, the guy got a call from the dealership. My Beamer guy, what's very interesting is he says, we are getting a lot more calls of people at the dealership. Now they're getting their service right then. But they're like, "Will you be able to put me in 30 days to get this done? Or how much to get this done? They want me to do it. I can't do it this time. How much to get it done?" They'll give them, "Okay, can you book me?" So we've actually seen a couple bookings 30 days out, not the immediate drive down around the corner. Although I did have one client actually I had one who did bring his car in because they wanted so much money and it was going to take a long time, and they brought it down and actually cost less. And actually not the whole repair that the Beamer shop also quoted. He goes, "You don't need that right now," which was very interesting. The guy was very upset and yet happy with my client who treated him fairly, and he wanted a new Beamer. So we do know one drive off. We do know one Ford guy came in. A lot of calls at the dealership, and we seem to see future bookings. And I will say this to those doing hyperlocal traffic: if you're doing a play you've got to remember, some of these are long plays. If you're targeting a service center where people are getting already repairs, remember, we want them to come to the page and be retargeted. And we want to follow them
around. About that. Okay. Don't. Yeah, I want you to talk about that entire strategy, Dan. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. So it's a come see our ad, click on our ad, come see, hey, we're offering you a first-time visitor coupon. Okay, that's okay. We know you're in the service center, but we're just going to follow you around for the next 6 months till you do come. And that's the play. And that's really, if we're doing a 6-month program with our clients, we should be saying this is the 6-month play. And they love it. They go, "Yeah, okay." So in 6 months, if they don't have more Beamers in the bays, I'm done. But so that's the way I look at it. But it's a strategy of, okay, get them to the site. You make them an offer. That's okay. We know for this particular client, we know they're not going to do the offer. But yet we're going to follow them around till you just say, "Okay, I'm coming into that shop. You got me."
Incredible. Yeah. I mean, it's a beautiful strategy. It's brilliant, and no one else is doing what you just described. But when you explain this to your client and your prospect, they'll get it immediately. It's not complicated once they understand. They don't need to understand how it works, but really exciting stuff, Dan. That's well explained, very well explained. So let me ask you this as we kind of wrap up. What do you have brewing for your next hyperlocal opportunity? Where's that going to take your business with traffic?
Oh, traffic is, but I'm going to give you a strategy. I'm actually talking with a client who is a retargeting client, and it's hard to do hyper-targeting. Here again, not every business can do hyper-targeting. Now, some can, but this is a business that it would be harder to do hyper-targeting overall. but there's an employee shortage they need.
Hmm.
So we're going to hyper target their competitors where they're
Right.
come work for us, signing bonus. We have great benefits.
Oh, wow.
There's certain people are having a hard time, especially construction industries, finding people.
Mm-hmm.
And they have so many jobs on the books. I said, and they said, look, if we can just get through the next 90 to 180 days, I think we'll be good. I said, well, what's your signing bonus after 90 days? How much is it? Great. I said, well, let's do this. So we're literally coming up right now. And the funny thing is, this is a client who has to pre-approve their entire year budget. So getting any extra money to do this is almost pulling teeth. But they're in such dire straits, we're going to go after their competitors for their employees.
Amazing. Amazing. I mean, obviously, in the physical world, you don't get to walk into your competitor and start talking, to their employees. But with this hyperlocal targeting, you just get right in front of them. That's beautiful.
And I'll give one strategy. I'm not doing the strategy, but I thought about it. So if somebody's in the political world,
yes,
it's against the law to campaign outside a polling place. It is not against the law to drop digital ads over a polling place.
Interesting. We do have people we always have that question coming up. What's my best strategy for a political campaign, as a local political campaign? There you go. So
you want to target high volume apartments. Like if there's some measures or some things, go to that group that might be and saying, listen, I can hyper target a whole block of people in these apartments only digitally. Or again, digital ads at the polling places. Everybody's on their phone when they're waiting in line to vote. They may sit there and go, oh, hey. So one strategy, I'm not doing it, but that's one out there that if there's somebody doing political, that's a potential way of hyper-targeting. And right now, I actually put that out to a couple of lawyers, and they go, no, there's nothing on the books against that. And I go, there it is. So,
and you're just sitting up at night thinking about all these different ways to target people. Incredible.
Here's a one that I'm actually doing. We're URL targeting.
Yes.
On a Sunday afternoon, we're gonna target a bunch of URLs. But think of this as on a Saturday, if you want to target like SEC.com or Pac12.com, and run your ads in maybe stadium areas. Maybe you got some reason to target people in the stadium in a congregation, and people are checking scores all day long on Pac-12 or SEC or
fantasy football. Sure.
So you could do URL targeting and hyper targeting together, and target URLs to people that that are going to be sitting. So if you want to target 50,000 people, not blow a big budget, you say, well, I want to target 50,000 people that are really interested in the scores or here, and hyper target URL targeting that way. And I'm actually testing that right now for a client, because we're planning to use that as part of a strategy to hyper target an entire day, an entire parade route on a day. So we're literally going to target a 2-block area of a parade route for 8 hours. Amazing
stuff. Okay, everyone, if you're not inspired, if you haven't thought about some prospects and clients that you want to talk about, you may want to check your pulse, because this has been very, very exciting. And Dan, your enthusiasm is very compelling, and I think you probably inspired a lot of people with this conversation, your ideas, but also, frankly, just the results, the business that you're getting for yourself, the excitement of your clients, just all really, really good stuff. So Dan, I don't know if you have a closing statement prepared or if we want to just say goodbye, but I want to just say thanks so much for taking the time here with us today.
Well, I want to thank you, and I've been doing internet marketing for over 20 years, and I will say it's because of tools that David has given us that it has excited me, and there's several cool tools. A lot of people, this is just one that it's just a fun thing to play with. And really, if I didn't have something as cool as this, I'd probably be out there looking for those little widgets that you get in the email every day,
Right, yeah.
And I mean, I just want to thank David. I want to thank you. I want to thank all the support team because it really takes a big team to put these products. I'm a developer, I know. I love being part of the beta program, you know, to this and traffic especially because it's been fun to be a part of that. And yet now with what you guys are doing, and I like, you know, I think there's so much business for us all to have. And if we really just sit down and pick something, and I also want to thank Dave gave me a couple verticals, said target these and you'll be great, and I am. And I really, it's thanking Dave and following his strategies. He's given us the cool tools to play with too. And this is a tool I get to geek out on. So thank you.
Geeking out. All right, we're going to leave it at that. Dan Smith, thanks again so much. And everyone, get out there. Go find a prospect, a client to do a hyperlocal campaign for, and we think you're going to be hooked. So thanks once again to Dan Smith, and we will see you guys on the next training.